Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be learning passive. So let's get started. Passive voice in English. Passive voice is used when the focus is on the action rather than the person for performing it. It is commonly used in formal English, academic writing, and essays. In passive sentences, the object of the active sentence becomes the subject. The person who performs the action may appear at the end using the word by. Example: for active, the scientist discovered a new medicine. For passive, a new medicine was discovered by the scientist. So, in this slide, we understand what passive is. Passive voice is used when the focus of the sentence is on the action rather than the person who performs the action. In many situations, especially in formal English and academic writing, such as essays, passive voice is commonly used. In passive sentences, the object of the active sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence. Sometimes the person who performs the action is mentioned at the end of the sentence using the word by. For example, in the active sentence, the scientist discovered a new medicine. The focus is on the sentence. However, in the passive sentence, a new medicine was discovered by a scientist. The focus shifts to the medicine rather than the scientist. Structure of passive voice. Passive voice follows a specific grammarly structure. The formula is subject plus correct form of be plus past participle verb 3. The past participle form of the verb is always used. The verb be changes depending on tense and subject. Example: she writes a letter. A letter is written by her. In this slide, we learn about the structure of passive voice. Passive voice follows a particular grammar pattern. The basic formula is subject plus correct form of be plus past participle verb 3. The past participle form of the verb is always used in passive sentences. The verb be changes depending on the tense of the sentence and the subject used. For example, it may appear as is, am, are, was, were, or will be. For instance, the active sentence she writes a letter becomes the passive sentence. A letter is written by her. Passive voice in present simple. Passive voice present simple passive is used for general facts and regular action. Structure: subject plus am plus is are plus past participle. This form is common in instruction and academic writing. It helps empathize the result of an action. For example, the teacher explains the lesson. The lesson is explained by the teacher. Now let us understand how passive voice works in the present simple tense. This form is used when we are talking about general facts, regular actions, or things that happened repeatedly. The structure used here is subject plus am, is, are plus past participle. This form is commonly used in academic writing and instruction because it focuses more on the result of the action rather than the person doing it. For example, the active sentence, the teacher explains the lesson, becomes the lesson is explained by the teacher. Passive voice in past participle. Past simple passive describes action completed in the past. structure is subject plus was, were plus past participle. It is frequently used in reports, news, and historical descriptions. The focus remains on the action rather than the person performing it. Example: the chef prepared the meal. The meal was prepared by the chef. In this slide, we look at passive voice in the past simple tense. This form is used when we describe actions that were completed in the past. The structure is subject plus was, were plus past participle. Past passive sentences are often used in reports, news articles, and historical descriptions because they highlight what happened rather than who did it. For example, the active sentence, the chef prepared the meal, becomes the passive sentence, the meal was prepared by the chef. Passive voice in the future tense. Future passive is used for action that will happen later. Structure for it is subject plus will be plus past participle. It is commonly used in formal announcement and prediction. This form highlights what will happen to something. Example: the company will launch a new product. A new product will be launched by the company. We examine passive voice in the future tense. This form is used when we talk about action that will happen later. The structure is subject plus will be plus past participle. This form is often used in formal announcement, plans, and predictions. For example, the active sentence, the company will launch a new product, becomes a new product will be launched by the company. Here, the focus is on the product that will be launched. Overusing the word very. When the doer of the action is unknown, when the action itself is more important than the doer, in specific reports, academic essays, and formal writing, when speakers want to create a more objective tone. Example: the document was submitted yesterday. Passive voice is used in several situations. First, it is used when the person who performed the action is unknown. Second, it is used when the action itself is more important than the person who did it. Third, passive voice is very common in scientific reports, academic essays, and formal writing because it creates a more objective tone. For example, instead of saying who submitted the documents, we may simply say the document was submitted yesterday. This sentence focuses on the action rather than the person. Identifying passive voice in sentences. In passive voice, the subject receives the action of the verb. The sentence usually follows the structure subject plus form of be plus past participle. The person who performs this action may appear at the end using by. The main focus of the sentence is on the action or the result, not on the do. Example: the lesson is explained by the teacher. The assignment was completed by students. In this slide, we learn how to identify passive voice in sentences. Passive voice can be recognized when the subject of the sentence receives the action rather than performing it. In other words, the action happens to the subject. Most passive sentences follow the structure of subject, a form of the verb be, and the past participle of the main verb. This pattern helps us quickly recognize whether a sentence is written in passive voice. Sometimes the person who performs the action appears at the end of the sentence. It is introduced with the word by. However, in some sentences, the doer may not be mentioned at all. For example, in the sentence, The lesson is explained by the teacher. The subject is lesson. The lesson does not perform the action, instead, it receives the action of being explained. Similarly, in the sentence, the assignment was completed by the students, the assignment receives the action of being completed. These examples clearly show how passive voice focuses on the action and its result rather than on the performing person it. Common mistakes in passive voice. Using the wrong form of verb be, forgetting to use the past participle verb 3, keeping the sentence in active order x instead of passive structure. Overusing passive voice in situation where active voice is clearer. Example, mistake. Incorrect. The homework is completed by the student. Correct. The homework is completed by the student. In this slide, we look at some common mistake learners make when they are using passive voice. One common mistake is using the wrong form of verb be. Another mistake is forgetting to use the past participle of the verb. Some learners also keep the sentence structure similarly to active voice, which makes the sentence incorrect. For example, the sentence the homework is completed by the student is incorrect. The correct passive should be the homework is completed by the student. More passive voice example. Active. People speak English all over the world. English is spoken all over the world. The government built a bridge. A new bridge was built by the government. Passive voice helps us, the writer, focus on the action and the result rather than the person performing it. In the active sentence, people speak English all over the world. The focus is on people. In the passive version, English is spoken all over the world. The focus shifts to the language itself. Another example is the government built a new bridge. In passive voice, this becomes a new bridge was built by the government. These examples show how passive voice changes the focus of a sentence from the person performing the action to the action and its result. Thank you guys for watching till the end. Hope you like this video, and if you learned something, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. Bye.